We're back with Reap the Week on Villaincast with Chris Paynes and Naqi Arshed. Welcome back, Naqi.
Hey, mate.
Even though they're joking about this now, like it's getting funnier for me. Quick shout out to the sponsors that I'm still looking for. Yeah, that's sorted. Really good discussions on the Discord channel this week. Really good. That thing's just taken off, and like, if I don't look at that thing for 5 minutes, there's so much conversation I've missed. So if anyone wants to make it like bigger, please visit the Discord channel there's links everywhere. There's links like on chrispaynesbjj.com. I think that's not my website. Just type that into Google, I'm sure you'll find me. Merchandise is coming. It's finalizing soon, and we'll hopefully have a prototype. Kind of pointless to say that on a podcast when people can't see what I'm saying. Yeah, so we've had a couple of discussions this week pop up on the Discord. The main question seems to be, because I released a 8-part series earlier on in the week on YouTube. Please go check it out if you're interested, called the White Belt Toolbox. And the White Belt Toolbox was this idea of not necessarily for white belts. That's the kind of maybe the confusing part. I need to maybe rename it. But it was the idea of people who just start jiu-jitsu, as in, you know, you walk through the door and you have no idea what the hell is happening. How do you have jiu-jitsu explained to you? So 50% is for people like in other gyms who are interested in jiu-jitsu, who find it. 50% is for people who want to join my gym, and like I can direct them to that page and I say, look, if you understand all these things, it's going to make your experience better. And so then the question becomes like, what comes after that? So like, I don't know, maybe like a 3-stripe white belt toolbox, and then the question was asked, what about a blue belt toolbox? So to set up the conversation, the white belt toolbox isn't necessarily what I'm looking for in a blue belt. It's kind of looking at the other way around, as in, what tools would you need at belts instead of what criteria are you kind of aiming for? Because every time this conversation kind of comes forwards, it's always like trying to match a syllabus, as in, what do I need to know to get to the next belt, instead of what tools do I need to succeed at this belt. So it's kind of looking at the opposite way around. So in the white belt toolbox, stuff I spoke about was a basic understanding of jiu-jitsu, like a 1, 2, 3, 4 system of progressing through position, an understanding of what guard is, an understanding of what passing is, an understanding of the pocket, an understanding of defense. Yeah, so Naqi has run his own little gym side by side of mine for a while. I'm interested to think, what do you think, Naqi? What tools would you give someone to be aiming for blue, so like mid-white, and what tools do you think would then change at blue belt?
I think it'd be more the case of now being more fluid, so they can combine guards, they can chain attacks, they need to know how to wrestle. So somewhat standard of wrestling, understanding of single leg, double leg, because we've explained the basics in the white belt toolbox. I think now is where they find themselves. So they take what they can, and now it's time to make theirs what they think should be, and then discard what they're not going to use, because everybody's style is different, everybody's built differently, and I think the blue belt is where you find yourself.
I'd say towards the end of the blue belt is where you start to find yourself. Like if I'm looking back at when I did promotions for you and other people in the gym, so I always saw it as the white belt is the belt of defense. That's the belt where you have to learn not to like die in jiu-jitsu, how to find happy places that mean you're safe and you can breathe and you're not blowing out of your ass. As soon as you kind of like become really comfortable with not getting murdered in jiu-jitsu, that's kind of the right time you should start learning everything else in jiu-jitsu. And that's kind of like what I saw as blue belt, as in that kind of transition from white to blue. I did an episode called The String, which is like, instead of having like set kind of points. It's almost like one long string that kind of blends colors. So as it starts to blend from like pastel blue into like an actual blue, it was at that point I kind of thought, right, that's the point where you're starting to look at, you're not getting murdered in roles. You have a good understanding of how to use your body and how to like not expose gaps. Now's the part where you learn the whole of jiu-jitsu, get curious. It's easy at that point to get complacent and find things that you're good at and not go any further. Which that actually, I think that's what makes blue belt one of the harder and longest belts to learn. Is that you actually start to get half decent, and then you don't push yourself after that. You get really good at one thing, and then second you kind of like get dragged out of your thing. And this is what makes blue belts fun, is that they can be threatening in what they're good at, but then useless at what they're not. As cruel as that is, like they become really good at like very fine things, like very small lines, and then you can kind of like pull them out of their game and they get hopelessly lost. So that's kind of like what I'm looking for at blue belt, is start to learn all of it. Like be curious, start to just like think, right, what if I played this guard? What if I played this guard? What if I did this form of attack? What if I went for legs, upper body? Really start to explore everything. You haven't got enough information to form a opinion on jiu-jitsu yet. I think once you have all the information of what is out there and you have been curious enough, I think that's the purple belt, because that's when you start to like set the template for the black belt you're going to be, as in you know what kind of fighter you really are going to be. Like I kind of knew at purple belt that I was going to be I was going to be playing predominantly top, like crushing pressure games, and I kind of stuck to it. Doesn't mean I can't deviate, but I say it's around about that way, because then you just tighten that game up over time. That's a brown belt, and then obviously you're a murderer at black belt. But looking at it that way, so if a day one beginner needs to know about how to cover their how to cover their hips, how to hide their armpits, how to hide their neck, how to control distance and posture and range, and understand those principles, and hand fighting in the pocket, and what constitutes a guard, I'd say the tools then for becoming a high white, if we've started to nail off defense, is really understanding how to isolate joints. I think that's minor control positions, as in when you latch onto a leg or an arm or a head, not finish. I think that's like a big thing I'm trying to push right now, is that there's a very big difference between the whole, like don't look at the submission as a whole, look at it as in you have the finish itself, like the squeeze or the extension, and then you have the control position prior. If you see it as one lump of information, you just like rush the finish. But if you get very comfortable with actually holding the minor control position, you find your finishing rate will be better anyway, because people won't be escaping as much. So I think high white, you're not necessarily looking at horrible finishing details. Definitely, start to get curious about them. But entering into really good control positions, like really good minor control positions, really good major control positions, because then that's going to set you up for the rest of jiu-jitsu. Like you're mastering defense, now you're looking at, I need to hold positions better. And get curious about all positions, guards, everything. I think blending those two things, I think, is quite big in the blue belt toolbox. A high white blue belt.
Do you think being able to explain what they're doing is a big thing of blue belt? I think that's a big one, where they should be able to explain to a beginner, for example, or a white belt, of what they should be doing and shouldn't be doing, and being able to explain what they're doing themselves.
I think that's I think I think that's part of the part of the curiosity of jiu-jitsu part, as in, if you don't know what the hell you're doing and what the hell you're looking for and what you're exploring, and be able to tell me about it, then I don't think you know what you're doing. Like if you can tell me, like, oh look, I want to play with this guard, or I want to play with like hunting this control, like cool, you can explain jiu-jitsu. If you feel like, man, I'm grabbing this, like just growl and just roll aggressively, I don't think you know what you're doing in jiu-jitsu. Like, yeah, completely right. Yeah, I think blue belt toolbox is curiosity. I think that if you had to define it in one, it's curiosity and control. because everything after that becomes really easy. Again, it's looking at it from the other's perspective. It's not, you have to know, a triangle, or have to know this. It's like, no, you just have to know how to control people. You know how to defend, now learn to control. Either major, side control, mount, north, south, all the guards that you want to play, and minor, as in latching onto a limb and not letting it go. And because I love going back to that role models. It's competition not far from where we live. Watching the blue belts and that, their minor control position work was shite. Like you'd watch them throw arm bars and just lose it instantly, just because they were like, yeah, I want to go for the finish, and the whole thing would fall apart. Spend some time in your minor control positions, like get used to latching onto that limb, don't let it go, and then you won't have these problems. Your control was shite. I'd say that's blue belt toolbox area. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think that kind of marries into the whole idea of wrestling as well. Like,
yeah, control.
It's all curiosity. Like, you're not dying in jiu-jitsu now. I think that's the
Yes.
big thing about change from white belt to blue. You're not getting murdered. So what do you think a white belt should know? How to not get murdered. Don't think about, as a white belt, oh, I need to learn all these different guards. You jump in the gun too much. You need to know how not to die. And then blue belt, get curious about everything. Stand up, ground, guard, top positions, gi, no gi, legs, chokes, arms, everything. Judo. Learn the lot. And I think I can define like where you're kind of sitting, like, when you're purple belt. I was watching that progression with you, like, you get very curious about everything, then it's just smoothing it out and actually finding your path and like your passing styles and your because I think it's safe to say that you probably went through quite a few iterations on who you thought you were going to be. Like who you were playing as a blue belt is very different to who you are now.
Oh yeah, completely, man. I just changed my game completely. I thought, nah, I'll try everything, anything I like. I think, yeah, I like this. I'll try it out. But I'll always add it somewhere, I won't completely discard it. And I understand when I need to use things, and it's all about timing. And I always say, when we're talking, I'm like, look, everything works. It's just about timing. And I know a lot of people disagree with that, but, recently there was that stuff about when Wim was doing, remember that headlock a few months back, which is generally looked as a, bad position, so to say. And, just watching that, and I was thinking that would generally be considered bad. So if he can get out of that and he can show how he's doing it, then surely every position should be escapable, and there should be, on the opposite side, a better way of controlling someone as well if you wanted to finish or, progress through the ladder of grappling and, so that's the way I see it. I'm very open-minded. I don't care. I don't care if it's whatever it is. If it works, it works. Try it.
I think that's the thing that will stunt blue belts, is that it's when they're obviously not getting caught with stuff because they're not a white belt, and I think it's an ego problem. Like definitely blue belts kind of like the high ego belt.
Yeah,
because that's the point where you're not really getting caught, and now you've got like little tools that you can like use in your game. And it's like you then just get stuck into it, and you want to win. You don't want to die on the mats to higher belts or lower belts. So you'll just stick to your game, and then you wonder why you don't progress. And it's like, no, you need to just like, that's the part where you need to like kill. Obviously, everyone's always got an ego, but kill it off a little bit and play, as hard as that sounds.
Yeah.
That actually kind of like follows into kind of the conversation, like the other kind of questions we've had. Just to set up the rest of this conversation, the rest of this podcast. The other questions were about how do I structure classes, and how do you attack this nonsense that we do. I think we kind of bridged onto it there. We'll go through that first. I'll add my piece a little bit. Hand over to Naqi. So, because you kind of touched on about timing, which I know whenever I imagine you've like spoke to people about this, and you say, oh, it's a timing thing. They're like, that's not an answer. I mean, no, give me some like actual like stuff that will work, like techniques that will work. I'm like, you're looking at jiu-jitsu the wrong way again, and that's what the frustrating part is.
Yeah.
Like, Oh my God. So I like to draw a graph of defensive ability in jiu-jitsu. And for anyone listening or anyone on the YouTube channel, I'll kind of try and explain what I'm doing. So if you imagine like across the x-axis is time, and the y-axis going up is defensive ability. So you start off and you're right back in the corner, you know, at where the 2 points are at 0, and you've got no defensive ability because you've not been any time. And then if you stick to this kind of defensive postural stuff, you shoot up really fast. You get really high defensive ability really fast if you just stick to the defensive postures. And then it kind of carries on that way, kind of like on a high, and then it drops into a dip. And that's the fun part, is that drop into the dip. And you think, why has it dropped into a dip? And it's at that point you start to attack, because you realize you're not getting caught. And then you start to like try and peek out and start to do stuff, and then you get smashed. And it's that, I think that lump there that would make people leave when you start playing this defensive stuff, because if you don't do anything, you just won't get caught. Like if you just, you know, hunker down, play running man, turtle, whatever, you can survive. But then when you're like, I want to attack, and you start to peek out because you haven't got the timing yet. And so it is a timing thing, because then, you know, it's the same with like boxing. Like, you know, you punch people in the face when their hands aren't covering their chin. So if they throw a punch, or if they got tired or something like that, just reading those things. If they open the gaps, you expose them, and then you just rip them open when you get the time. It's not like, you know, oh, he's covering his chin. Is there a magical punch that will like go through his arm and punch him in the face? Like, no, like it is timing. As dumb as it sounds, it's because in jiu-jitsu we've always heard of everything. Like every technique has an answer technique, which it does, but you don't need us to tell you that. There's a million YouTube videos and coaches all saying those things, and books and everything, but no one that's just saying like, right, when people are attacking, defending these positions, yeah, they're tight, and you can have a real hard time. You might have to make them move, you might have to pick them up and throw them around a little bit. But when they start to attack you, that's the point when you hunt the gaps. And it's counterpunch. You not counterpunch, but making them expose and encountering them, or making them think they've got a chance to catch you, feinting, and then catching them back. It's makes it a sport. It's not a question of knowledge, it's a question of timing. How would you agree with that? Or don't you agree?
No, I agree. You know, you've explained it better than me. That's what I always mean when somebody asks me, oh, why isn't this working? Why isn't that working? I'm like, look, you need to spend some time there, figure out the defense and the attack, and then figure out your timing. I can't, you know, it's hard for me to say to you, do A, B, and C, because the defending guy, he's gonna be jab and crossing. You know what I mean? It's hard to teach, because you have to do it by feel. But if you understand what he's going to be doing and what you want, then you can figure out things to do, like ways to hold him, where you can get your control and advance.
I think that's like when we roll, it's not just like you don't have an opportunity to like just jab and feint or something like that and like catch on a single exposure. You've got to like throw mad combos to try and like expose gaps, and it has to be on balancing, the footwork's on point, and
crazy scrambles.
Like, yeah, and it's like catching people in those transitions. You can't catch, I know Preet said this and we've said it a million times, you can't catch people. If they're in these positions, you can't really do anything to them without being a cock. Like, unless you're going to torture them, like kneel on their head and make them open up their arms that way. Like, there's not a great deal available, but it's the transitions. Yeah. And this is kind of like adds this, that I call it the paradox, is that learning these, or the irony, or whatever you want to call it, learning these defensive postures is great. And you'll get great success for them in your gym if you play defensive postures. But if I give the analogy of, imagine you train at a boxing gym where everyone fights with their hands from their hips, like a karate gym almost, and everyone just accepts being punched in the face. And then you go away and you do a seminar with this defensive stuff, and you come back and you've learned to cover your chin. And everyone's going to be like, what? I can't punch you in the face anymore. Why can't I punch you in the face? I'm like, I'm covering my chin. That's pretty much how dumb this defensive stuff sounds to us. Like people are saying, oh, I can't break it. It's like, well, yeah, because I'm covering my chin now. But then the irony is, or whatever, you won't learn better timing about how this thing works unless you train with people who also cover their chin.
Yeah.
If you're the only person in the gym covering your chin and everyone's still fighting from the hips, like you're not going to learn timing of this because you're just going to have this perfect defense and then just get to take pot shots at them. So it always makes me laugh. Like unless it's actually adopted by the gym itself and everyone gets to like play this and actually learn the timing, it's almost pointless. It never goes past like level 1. Like you can't go to like level 2, 3, 4 and actually learn this stuff unless everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
It does make me giggle because I have, you know, I've obviously rolled with people in our gym, rolled with people who aren't in our gym, but then rolled with people who have adopted it via video or whatever, but be the only people in their gym that do it. And yeah, like rolling with people who don't play it, you can feel the gaps. It's hilarious. Roll with people in our gym, there's no gaps, and it's infuriating. And then you roll with people who have watched a little bit but haven't like had chance to actually, you know, they're the king of their gym, but they don't get to use it. They're the only people who use it. You can see the gaps that they leave, and it's because they haven't developed that timing yet, and they can't find it on you. And it's like, oh, yeah, as funny as it is, it's sad and funny at the same time. I think you're correct. Timing.
Yeah,
it's timing. Smoothness in the hunting of transitions. I mean, you know, when we've done like the grilled chicken stuff, and I've said like, you know, keeping your knees next to your arms and keeping your knees next to your armpits, and then you can watch people when their knees get a bit too close or they get tired in their abs and the knees drop away from their shoulders a little bit. That's the fun stuff reading. Like that, when you start to see that happen, it's like, oh, how do I attack this stuff? It's like, you'd be amazed, like as soon as you can read it properly and read the timing and read the actual position correctly, you can see clear as day. Like to the average person who doesn't know this, like, oh, it just looks like open guard. But to us, like, oh my God, look at the gap he just left. Just because he's got tired. It's the same as like when you're boxing and like your shoulders get tired, your hands drop a little bit. Like to the layman's person, it's like, oh no, he's still got his hands up. It's like, no, it's not. It's barely covering his chin. I'm gonna punch him in the face. Like, it's great. It's great.
Exactly.
That's what I love about this.
The side effect of learning it this way and doing it is you getting your analytical skills getting better. You can analyze what's actually going on. That's why you can read it properly. That's why when you watch matches, when I watch matches anyway, like I can see every little detail. You know, I'm really concentrating on where they're putting their hand and what's going on, where his feet are and stuff. Where before, when I used to watch matches, prior to this understanding, it wasn't as detailed as now, but you know, it really gives you the ability to like find little things that are going on.
Not completely.
And again, it's a good side effect.
Well, talking about that kind of physicality side of it, especially when you're playing like the grilled chicken open guard, there's a benefit to like shadowboxing it and becoming smooth with the transitions. Because if you're going to get caught in the transitions, that's your footwork. That's your jiu-jitsu footwork. So don't spend, you know, ages going up and down the mats doing shrimps. You know, pointless kind of calisthenic warm-ups here. Let's do star jumps and push-ups. Like, do shadowboxing of this. Like, learn to transition between everything and make it smooth. Like, and be hyper. You know, don't just do it and like the atypical kind of thing when you're actually doing shadowboxing. It's like, how do I look in the mirror? Or how do I look to other people? Do I look good doing shadowboxing? Like, no, be hypercritical of your movements. Like, do your transition from running man to turtle and like you know, go into the astral plane and watch your body. Did you leave your elbow open as you transition? If the answer is yes, fix it.
Yeah.
For God's sake, fix it, because that's the gap. And then if you can be hypercritical and see those things in yourself, you'll see them in other people. And that's the fun part there, because you'll see those transitions where their elbow just sticks out a little bit and you're like, I wouldn't have done that, but I'm going to kill him for doing it.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a pretty succinct answer to doing this stuff. Train with more people that do it.
Yeah. We're always free to roll. After this is over, we're always free to roll.
Yeah, our gym's wide open.
We're always down.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like, segue against from everything, like due to the amount of content that we're pushing out right now, and with all the videos we've done prior and the Globetrotter camps and these podcasts, and there's a lot of interest of people who actually want to come play. To anyone who ever wants to come play at our gym, like we're in Stafford, England, pretty much middle of it. Like you couldn't be more middle in Stafford, like from Birmingham, Manchester. It's pretty much the most well-connected, useless town in the whole country. Because we've been Globetrotter since day one, we are free at point of entry for anyone who wants to come visit us. Like we don't care if you're wearing gi, no gi. We don't care if you do legs. We don't care where you're from, Baja, Carson Gracie, couldn't care less. There's no mat fees for non-members. Just come roll. We just want people to come play. Just give me a heads up that you're coming. As a slight plug for our gym. I'm excited when we get to go back. What's the other question? I've got notes. I do come prepared. Structuring and planning classes then. So if you think of those toolboxes, how do you structure your classes? Because I've never been to one of your classes.
So
time or something or distance.
I'll do the class that I teach, the once a week that I do on the weekend that I used to do. It was more so MMA guys. So their attitude to training was more MMA based rather than grappling based. Yeah. But they were good grapplers. They'd done wrestling prior. They had a teacher who was teaching them wrestling. So their wrestling was quite decent. Their ground game wasn't as, good. But, there were a few standout guys who were quite good, but their groundwork wasn't up to scratch. So with them, my warm-ups were more the wrestling kind of warm-ups. And then going into the teaching was how I would structure my one-to-ones that I'd do. So how I would do it just like a jiu-jitsu class, for example. So I have an idea in my head of what I want to teach. So I have a little plan sometimes of what kind of program, what we're going to be looking at for the next 5 to 6 weeks. So I put it in kind of blocks. So for example, before COVID, we were on leg locks with them. So it was in like the last class that we probably finished on was they've had about 4 weeks of understanding leg locks, going through the different control positions, heel hooks, ankle locks, the lot. And then it was more the case of now really active drilling through different scenarios. So we were going into the really bad positions and trying to get out of there. And obviously for the attacker as well. So I'd shown them we're controlling whilst we were doing the defense as well. So the attackers didn't really know how to finish, but the control was there, if you know what I mean. Because they were complete beginners to leg locks. They had no ideas how to play legs. So start the class, go through the different leg lock positions. So, single leg X, drop them, different sweeps that we've done from butterfly or different entries. And then it'd be change of partners, because I've got a big thing on changing partners. I don't like seeing the same person being together, same two people being together for the full class, because I think then people get used to each other. And I don't think that's a good thing. Because you need to be able to play with different body types if you want to get better overall. So I'll encourage changes. Once we've done a few drills, I'll encourage a change partner. Okay, now we're moving on to the next position. We're going to active drill this for a bit, for a timer on. And then, me, I love rolling. So it's loads of rolling. Yeah, exactly. With the rolling, if I want to put an emphasis on what we've been doing, the rolls are starting in the position that we've been looking at in the session. So in that whole 2 hours or 2.5 hours or whatever it is, the focus is on actually what we're looking at, that particular thing as a whole. So it's not just heel hooks or ankle locks, it's leg locks, or the starting and finishing from the position that we've been looking at. So it's just really laser focused on whatever I do. I always plan, so it sticks in their heads. And that way of teaching, I've seen it with their development, where I've said to you before, like, you need to come in, Chris, and you need to roll with these guys. And there's a few that we could promote to blue as well. So Yeah, man, that's the way I teach now. Like, it's not the traditional that we used to do.
No,
Only if I'm
no.
doing a wrestling class, I'll make them do a crazy strength and conditioning circuit for 20 minutes. But nah, not for a
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu class.
No, it's a lot more cerebral, I think, jiu-jitsu. I think
Yeah.
I'm not a PT. I'm not getting coached. I'm not getting paid to PT
Yeah.
you. I'm teaching you jiu-jitsu. So it's not like obviously, you know, it's fun to listen to how you explained all this. Because I say to anyone who doesn't know, like Naqi used to be a teacher and he is a PT, so he has got teaching experience. So how he structures everything is from that kind of background. My kind of history of doing this is I've just been like throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks for the last 12 years. So I've gone through many iterations of teaching, which I guess is a good thing because I don't want to be stagnant. Like, I want to see what works the best.
Yeah. I've seen it from the time I've been learning from you, how your teaching style has changed.
It has to. I want to make sure everyone's better. So the way I structure mine, and that is as well, is I think maybe our structure is slightly different because, like you say, you have pretty much all white belts, and I've got a really good mix. Like, we've got purple belts, brown belts, blue belts, white belts, and they're all in the same class. So it's like, how do I keep it interesting for everyone?
Yeah.
And so when I look at doing a class, so again, you stick to kind of a theme for like an extended period. I think I try and stick away from arbitrary numbers. So when people say, "Oh, I need to do a month of half guard," why a month? Why, if you're not intending to actually teach a bunch, like, why are we extending it out? If you're intending to teach a lot, why are you making it shorter? Like, I'll adapt depending on if it makes sense.
Yes.
So when I'm looking at teaching classes, I try and stick away from arbitrary numbers. I try and stick away from arbitrary shit in general. So avoid a warm-up now. We used to do warm-ups, you know, running around and stuff like that, and shrimps and all those kind of rolls. You can kind of still do them every now and then. It's good to keep people kind of flexible, but rolling does that for you anyway. And it's, you know, occasionally just doing them just so people understand these kind of movements exist. But I think teaching those movements as a warm-up and never giving them context is dumb as fuck. When it comes to actually learning them, so when you have a white belts, blue belts, purple belts, brown belts in the class, I think it comes down to the method of drilling has to change. So if I'm teaching anything, I look at it in like 3 points. And this goes back into kind of what I said earlier. You have a finish if we're doing something. It doesn't matter if it's sweep or submission, choke, leg lock, armbar, whatever. Then just prior to that happening, like the pass, the sweep, the whatever, the finishing detail, you have a minor control position, like the pre, like finish, whatever you want to call it. When you have like wrap around the arm or wrap around the leg, or you just like halfway through the knee cut or whatever. And then prior to that, you're in a major control position. So that's when you're in a guard or whatever. And I prefer to show the backwards. I want to show, well, no, not backwards, but like middle and beginning kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I wanted, like, we'll start from, this is the minor control position. This is what we're aiming for, like holding. And then getting used to people feeling that. I like the idea of people, like the greatest disappointment is that you'll never feel your own side control. You'll never feel how much pain you inflict on another person. Like, you'll hear it, like you'll see the misery, but you'll never actually know it. And so it's such a horrible thought. I'll never know how much I hurt people. Not properly. So the best way I think of learning is actually to have a little go and then ask the other person to do it to you and guide them to make it worse on you or make it more effective on you. Like, if you're doing like a submission, like, you know how if you've got an understanding of your body, you're going to understand what hurts. And so if you're in a submission, like, direct them to it hurts more, like, effectively. And so I'll tell, like, the mechanics of why the whatever is doing the whatever. And then I'll say to them, right, explain it to the person, ask, for this. Because then that's kind of you directing your own side control pain. Like, oh no, don't push it there, put it here. So the whole minor control position / finishing kind of area, I want people to like spend some time exploring that, as in feeding back to each other. It's not arbitrary numbers drilling. It's not 5 minutes or 10 reps or something. Just spend time just like guiding, going back, inflicting, guiding, flicking between the finishing aspect and the minor control aspect, and like feeding back on both sides, making sure that they're both separated. And then, because you know what you're actually looking for, going back to like maybe a starting point, like that's another step back, not all the way back to the beginning, but like, like a third of the way in maybe. And then like, right, what do I need to do to kind of find here? And just working back from there. And then once you kind of work forwards through it, like go from, but then through different levels of intensity. And this is where the deviation would then happen of white belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt. Is that at white belts, I'm not expecting them to go much resistance, as in learn it, like spend some time learning it, maybe a little bit of resistance. Blue, bit more like explore around it. I want people to actually look around and actually see where they could go from it. And then it's the same purple and brown. I wanted to pretty much be sparring it, as in like sparring. It's important. You've heard me say this a million times.
Yeah, the disclaimer.
Sparring with a purpose. It's drilling. Like, it's not positional sparring. It's not, because again, I hate the idea of positional sparring, because then it's still open to there being a winner. Like, this is drilling, but high intensity, single rep drilling. Like, you there has to be conversation as well. And this is again a dumb thing about jiu-jitsu, is that there has to be conversation for such a cerebral, mental sport that is based on information. If there's zero conversation, what the fuck are we doing? Like, there has to be a sharing of information. There has to be a sharing of, did that work, didn't that work? Otherwise, what's the point in going back to jiu-jitsu gyms? You might as well just carry on as we are grappling dummies. It's about as useful as one. Like, if you just got someone there just like holding like a postured guard and you're just doing 10 triangles on them, what use were they?
Zombies, man. I call it zombie.
Exactly. It's pointless. It's like playing Operation. Like, you're just hitting like the sides and it makes a buzzing noise. Like, oh, this is so stupid. And this is why it's kind of like this weird middle, 1/3, beginning, back forwards, backwards, different intensity drilling kind of way of learning has come around. Is that I think it's really difficult to give benefit to everyone in the room. How do you give initial information, and how do you then give like because you don't need to learn that. There's no point me showing you how to do a setup into ashi. And that's how you like bore the shit out of brown belts. And like, what I'm interested in is like, right, because then there's another conversation, like, training bad positions, like, because then you've learned all the different parts of this. Why do you have to start from the beginning? Why do you have to do 10 reps from closed guard, push arm to triangle? Why can't we start at different points?
Exactly.
And different, and have like, again, it's change the activeness of the drilling, as in have it so like maybe you're the person on the bottom doing the triangle, like, but start, midway through the triangle, start from the minor control position with your legs wrapped around the head, and then, change the winner of the drill and change the level of intensity of the drill. Like, have the person who's stuck in the triangle fight their way out, have them win it. Try and see how that would fall apart, but then change it so the person on the bottom doing the triangle wins, but the other person's giving like 75% intensity and trying to get out. So, because you're always going to find your own little, there's no point me showing you myself. So I'm 6 foot a million, whatever that is, like 80 odd kilos. My stuff works for me. But if you're 4 foot and a fag end and like 60 kilos, there's no point you learning the same like doing the same thing as me. But if I can show you kind of what you need to aim for, like the control points, and you can like have someone feed back to you, like, oh no, squeeze that, and then learn the braking mechanics, and then you're going to find your own ways of getting there because you know what you're after. And then I think that's a much more efficient way of learning.
Exactly.
It's
yours from day one. It's yours from day one. Like it's so personal because you know what to look for. Now you got to develop your game. That's for your own body.
And that's why, like, you know, starting from different points, because then, like, say, when you start to look at brown belt level, like, you know, the different benefits of the different, you know, where you are in the different belts and how to get the most out of the session. Like, you know, if I was a session, like, say, on a heel hook, outside heel hook from bottom.
Yeah.
You know, it would show
brown belts.
that. Yeah, so if you look at it, so if the session I'd planned was, right, we're doing an outside heel hook from bottom.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, as white belts, I'd expect them to be looking at everyone's going to be looking at that, how to hold the ashi, everyone's looking at the braking mechanics of finishing the heel hook, getting better bites, giving feedback on the bite, giving feedback on the heel hook, you know, having it done to you, giving, like, directing people to make it hurt more, like, oh, look, you climb my leg, you know, after all the details I've given. And then going from the bottom, understanding what inside outside guard, hunting for that, you know, and then someone just moving around, not being static, and then like I don't know, 10% of sparring kind of movement, so you'd hunt it. Then looking at where you are at brown belt, you know, purple belt, brown belt, I'd expect you guys to pretty much start like deep in the ashi and trying to
locked in
away from it.
yeah,
exactly.
Build up
and, like,
build up.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you're getting caught in it, like, dial it back. Like, okay, I'm keeping getting my heel hook.
Exactly.
You know, or looking at it from both angles. Like, if someone keeps, like, running the hell away and escaping your heel hook, like, right, can you just dial it back a bit so I can actually see what is breaking and having that conversation. And then starting from maybe a different point, like, right, I'm actually getting more use of it from you know, playing an inside base guard. I'm getting, like, I don't know, a half butterfly or something, kind of hunt it from here. And at this point, I want you to go fucking nuts and try and escape. Cool, let's go from there. Like, it's different levels of freedom the higher you get to suit your game, from initial acquisition to consolidation.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's probably the healthiest way of learning it. And I like the idea, especially, I keep badgering on about it, the idea of being able to pause and rewind, like, especially when you're having, like, high intensity. I need to find a really good term to explain this. I don't know if it's sparring with a designated winner, like, so it's like drilling, training. When you're doing that kind of stuff, being able to hit pause, because it's not positional sparring. Then you couldn't hit pause in a positional spar. Like, I want you to go, right, no, stop there. I had to explore this. So whilst they're, like, tearing your knee into 3, like, going, can you rewind it, like, ever so slightly, and then exploring it again? Like, there has to be this mental control over your training. I think that has to be dialed in, like, from day one, to expect that and actually take ownership of your learning in that way, and not just be, I'm doing 10 triangles and then doing 10 arm bars. Like, oh my god, and we're just going to do close guard for the next month. It's just all the different submissions from close guard. Oh my god, Jiu-Jitsu is boring as fuck sometimes.
Maybe that's why a lot of blue belts quit. Who knows?
Possibly. But this kind of goes in, because you have the other question of, like, how do you learn, but kind of like mixes in, like, this kind of way of training to all those things we've said. Like, how do you train as a white belt in this? How do you train, like, white belt toolbox, blue belt toolbox? White belt, learn about defense. So at that point, I want you to be looking at what would break those minor control positions, what would break the major control positions. At blue belt, I want you to be like, right, this is interesting. This is you know, how do I control better? At purple belt, it's like, right, where does this mix into what I'm actually wanting to do? There's no point me learning Chris's setup here when I'm playing this game. And then at brown belt, it's like, right, I'm going to murder with this. Let's play murder with this. So everyone's getting the same kind of the right benefit out of that session, and it's not just, like, dialed in for everyone.
Yeah.
I can stop saying that. I can't catchphrase at this podcast. And the other question was, like, you know, training bad positions, because again, I think that's something that you then do as you climb up and you feel more comfortable with something, especially if you like keep returning to it. As in like, especially at brown belt, it's like I want to be in the worst position of this. I want to be in like choose the shit that how much shit you're in, and then go from there.
I'll give you an example. Like before, one of the last things what we were working on was like defending the S mount armbar. So we were going from basically me and Alex, yeah, arms locked in, both arms, S mount. So basically, they've already got your arm, and we were playing to get out of there. So we were looking at finding ways using baby bridge and hooking and stuff to hide the arm and rescue the other shoulder and stuff. So it went from okay, quick taps, and then okay, wait there, just like how you explain. You just talking to your partner. You just got to have a good partner who's not who understands, who's on the same wavelength as you, and then you can play this game of finding really bad positions. Like locked in heel hooks, we play from we've drilled from nearly close locked in heel hooks where we're playing with and then the tap comes, and then we've gone back. All right, now you haven't got my heel, you've got my toes though. Let's play from here. So it's just finding different defenses and different resistance and bad positions. You have to train the bad positions.
I think that's something that came from Omedes, and like you've pretty much hit it there. Is that one thing that kind of every session I'm always conscious of is I don't want to just like say, right, this is myself, this is my finish. I want to. This is why I teach in this kind of really weird front, middle, back method, whatever. Because I explain the concept of everything as I go through. Like, this is the holding mechanic, this is the breaking mechanic, this is the setup mechanic. So I want those tools from like day one. Everyone should have those tools. Like this is what defensive, this is what attack is, this is what exposure is, this is what timing is. Because then once you get to kind of high blue, purple, brown, like I can't hold your hand anymore. Like it's your exactly. And it's like how you just said about you and Alex going from here, like you have the tools to understand how to make jiu-jitsu, and that's what makes it fun. As in, you're not just rote drilling anymore. You're like, right, I know the tools for escaping, baby bridge, hawking, defensive postures, not being flat, and all this kind of stuff, and elbows and joint safety and everything, like above and below the joint you want, and timing of how you movement in transitions. Like you have all the information. So you're not having to go out and look for S mount escapes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you get to just put all these into practice. And so like every time I'm teaching a session, it's like I'm making sure I'm drilling I'm explaining the underpinning concept more than I am the actual technique itself. Like this is why like this minor control position is working. I'm aiming for the control of these two joints. This is the mechanic of what the joint is having done to it. Now I have control of these two parts. Then this is the entry mechanic, because is it an inside outside guard? Is it or whatever? And then we go hunting from there. And this is how to hide it when you're actually training itself. Like this is put your heel in your butthole. Like, and now we'll play from they're hiding their gap, but now they're trying to pass. Let's play from there. And then because you're actually making that active, they're looking for, right, shit, they could hunt me on this one. I need to make sure when I'm passing that gap's closed. And then you draw with that kind of aspect. Like now they're hiding it better, and now you have to hunt better.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, because now everyone's got the tools to make their jiu-jitsu better. Not just, I could do 10 triangles. Yeah, I think that's like the happiest I've settled on. Like this is like I actually leave the classes thinking that there's been benefit.
Yeah.
Especially when we start to incorporate hand fighting and stuff, and like working on that. And I said, right, increase your hand fighting part of it, because then you've really got to work on your distance and your pocket. And yeah, I think that different intensity at different levels of acquisition to consolidation. Because it's you have the idea of conscious competent, stuff like that. I want I'm very conscious of those four things when training. Like, are you brown belt, you're becoming unconscious competent. I don't have to worry about you hunting these things. Like, you're going to just naturally guide into them. But then white belt, you're unconscious, incompetent. I'm like, right, let's fix that. Let's actually know that they tell you what you're actually looking for.
Yeah.
Let's and I think when you start to incorporate that into actually the different levels of each belt, they kind of match quite well, I'd say. Unconscious, incompetent, white belt, conscious, incompetent, blue belt, competent, conscious, competent, purple belt, unconscious, competent, brown belt. Yeah, that's about right. Black belt, murderer. Yeah. Might have to work on that a bit more, flesh that idea out. Maybe. Who knows? But it should make like private sessions after blue belt pointless. There would never be a reason for me to give you a private lesson, because all of that actually teaches the tools that you already have. It's kind of stupid then, isn't it? Does that sound familiar?
Which part?
All those things I've just said, like classes, like
yeah.
how I run it.
I mean,
that's how I let you kind of brown belts leave. Like I said, go fuck off in the corner. We're doing this.
It's a different problem to you have than what I have. Like you
completely.
said, it's white belt, so I have to completely change it because they didn't have the understanding, and the way how you described it, that would be my way of like a ideal class. And my classes are never the same. I'm always adapting. I'm always thinking, okay, what worked, what didn't work, because I'm learning with these guys. I'm trying to learn what's the best way to teach them, and then my test subjects are my one-to-ones and privates in the week. So I'll have the same theme, whatever I've taught them, and then I'll basically taught it to them. Then I'll be like, okay, I taught it. Did it work? Didn't it work? I do a lot of that. So what went well, and what I can make better, and what I can change. But the style that you've now adopted, which we're currently learning under, I think that's like the right way to go. Where you've got a class with a range of people, range of skill sets. That would be the best way. To teach a class, I think.
Well, that's kind of like when I'm playing, when I'm teaching one-to-ones. Like the first thing I'll do, especially if I've got a new one-to-one, is I'll spar with them first. I'm like, right, let's go. And what I'll do is I'm literally just going through the different, not positions or anything like that. I'm just testing out the different concepts at each point. Like, do you have a grasp of this concept or this whatever? And then second, I see like a gap in one of those concepts. All right, stop. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Like, do you know why you're doing this? And then we'll fix it from there. And it's kind of, I don't ever want to be the case of, right, you come in and say, I want to learn triangles. Fuck off. Not going to happen. Like, go watch YouTube. I want to fix the everything that came around the triangle. Like, I'm not teaching you an hour's worth of triangle setups. Like, no, leave. But leave me on the floor when you go. For wasting my time. Like, no, I want to know like the deeper. Do you know why you're doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
Like, if not, then let's fix that part.
Or do you know why a triangle works? Did you know if you did this? You find your own way of triangling someone.
Or like I'll let if that's the kind of thing that I can see them hunting for, I'll let them triangle me. I'll let them armbar me, and I'll see if they can finish it. If they can't finish it, I'm like, right, do you know why you couldn't finish that triangle? Well, I don't know. Your head wasn't right. Yeah, why? Like, I don't know. It's just this wasn't right. You should be able to tell me why choke works. Or like, like a guard pass and like getting a leg caught every time. It's like, wow, why was your guard pass failing? Oh, I don't know, just couldn't pass your guard. Yeah, because why? Like, I want you to have the tools to be able to tell me why you couldn't do shit, and then you can fix it yourself in all these other instances that you're going to find yourself in. Oh God, I do miss jiu-jitsu, but it's the most frustrating thing in the world right now. At the same time. That's actually a decent one to ask them, is how often have you ever felt like leaving jiu-jitsu?
My blue belt days, and I can credit Preet for this and other system, because I not quit. I didn't think I would ever quit. It was more so where I was getting frustrated, because I was like, oh, you know, in my head I thought I was as good as a certain level, and I was like, no, I need to be better. I need to be better. But nothing. I wasn't progressing. You know, I was just, I was a YouTube guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Finding things, trying them, what worked, what didn't work, and then, you know, when we started playing the system, I was like, huh. And then since then, like I don't think I'll ever quit, mate. Like it's just always going, always
Yeah.
going. You know
I
what I
think
mean?
that's,
It's too much fun, man.
I kind of feel bad for everyone that ever left because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I should feel bad. Like, you know,
True.
yeah. And so that kind of frustration part is like, I feel guilty that people have to go through that. I'm not doing my job correctly. I mean, I'd say I've wanted to quit jiu-jitsu 5 times in this conversation. Like, I'll come around again. Like, it's weird. Like, I'll probably go through maybe about 3 or 4 instances a month where I'm just like, fuck this sport. I can't do
Still.
this anymore. Yeah, still. Like, it was more in the early days. Like, it comes in swings and roundabouts, because then I sit around and I think, holy shit, this sport's cool. Like, it's the same as that conversation that we had. I think it was one of the last ones. That half of these people think about jiu-jitsu. I'm like, oh, nothing, not a lot. Just only when I'm planning these, you know, episodes or the podcasts or teaching classes or thinking what I'm teaching the classes or something that picks up on Instagram that kind of takes my attention. So about 10 hours a day. It's not that much, you know. But yeah, so when we first started, like pre-Naqi, you came in like the pinnacle moment of like attendance, when there was like, it was like a party on the mat, like 36 people.
Yeah. I remember when it was starting, it was like full on.
No,
I was
it's
like,
nuts,
yeah.
wasn't it? The heathen days that we had when I was a purple belt. But yeah, early days. Fuck, like I'd get to jiu-jitsu, like, I'd catch a train over to Stone, and I'd get there, and I'd be the only person there, and then I'd just lock up again and go home. And it's like, it's that point where you're just like, I've travelled all the way here, and no fucker showed up.
Yeah, that sometimes is bad. I've had that a few times where I've gone to the class and nobody said, oh man.
Yeah, luckily kind of few and far between these days because there's so many of us. I mean, back in those days, if you had 6 people show up, it was like, whoa, let's take a picture. This is the most amazing night ever. Now 6 people show up, I'm like, what the fuck is everyone?
Yeah, where is everyone?
Like,
Send them a
let's get some
message.
skulls cracked after this one. But no, I can't really.
Multiple, you know, swear words, pussy on the groups.
Yeah.
Why do you come, pussy?
Yeah, no, yeah, I think the crack started to come out a little bit. I think that's kind of normal. And I remember saying this kind of to Omid and other people, it's like, you know who the savages are who are going to like be at jiu-jitsu, because they're the ones who want to leave, who have like those bad days where they're just like, fuck life and don't want to go train. And then you have, but they keep coming. And then you have those who shatter their fingers or something, take them up, and they come anyway just to watch. Like, those are the people who you know are gonna go all the way because they're weird. Like, like the ones where they get there and look miserable as shit, and it's like, but they're still there. It's like, yeah, you're gonna be here forever because you're a nutter.
Mat rat.
Exactly. Like, not even like true like mat rat, just someone who just they defines them now. Jiu-jitsu is them. Like, they couldn't leave if they tried. I remember I've said to you numerous times that if a white belt leaves, it's because jiu-jitsu wasn't for them. If a blue belt leaves, it's because life got in the way. If purple belt leaves, it's because jiu-jitsu broke their heart.
Yeah.
Brown belts don't leave. Literally don't.
I think you're too far deep then to leave.
Yeah, exactly. But you can see where that kind of like that blue belt problem, that, you know, blue belt being the longest belt.
Yeah.
It's because of it's like, it is that whole idea of you've got so much to learn. And it's like, where do you fucking start? it has so much time at blue belt. It would take so much time and so much kind of self discovery to like say, no, I need to just play and lose at this for a bit.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't have that, blue belt gets so difficult. I know like all those nights you've like text me and you've been like, you know, dude, what the fuck happened? I feel like I'm fucking turning into wank. And I'm just like, no, because you just played something new tonight.
Yeah.
Like,
when we started doing the feet stuff, I was blue belt. I was blue belt then.
yeah.
And I can remember in the beginning, I was like, fuck, man, like, it's not working. And we were like, just get through it, man. Let's get through it. And it paid off in the end. We were like, oh, it's working now. It's clicking. Because it was for us. It was like, forget everything else. We're doing this.
Yeah. Although I think when we were kind of took everything back and we were like, right, let's hunker down and learn all this stuff, which kind of goes back into what I said earlier, is in that, well, kind of what I said earlier, like everyone in the gym has to kind of adopt it to make sure everyone kind of like gets the most benefit out of it. Which is kind of what we did. And we all just went, right, let's huddle in, let's get this to work.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the important parts, and again, like to anyone who's ever learning anything ever in jiu-jitsu, is don't go do it on your regular training partners. Whatever you're learning, go do it on a beginner. No, for good reason. Or blue belt if you're a high belt. Like if you're purple, brown, or black belt, go just beat up blue belts. They are fun to destroy. Like everything I ever like learn and play is against a blue belt or a white belt, a good white belt. I'd never develop something new on you because it never work. And I think Joe Rogan said something similar, like, you know, blue belts are the best things to learn jiu-jitsu on. Like if you're a high belt, otherwise, you know, if whatever belt you are, find someone infinitely weaker than you and pick on them.
You sound like a bully now.
No, there's benefit. Like if you're exploring your jiu-jitsu and you want to get better at it, go learn on someone who can't react well. Because then you're like, oh, okay, this actually, you know, I can see how this would work. And then next session, pick someone slightly better. And you should always just do that. Like always go up ever so slightly better in the stripes or whatever when you're learning stuff. Because otherwise, if you just go against your regular same, if you get your peer, your same belt, and you're like, right, I'm trying something new, it ain't gonna work. You're gonna get smashed up from it, and you're gonna think it sucks and never use it. That's why blue belts are good if you're a high belt, because they've got a little bit of defense. They don't die instantly. They're not putting themselves in stupid places. And so it's a good place to kind of like practice new stuff on. I learn everything by being at blue belts. And I say that shamelessly, but I think they should suffer.
They're going to be making memes of you, Chris.
No. Oh, one day, hopefully I matter enough that happens. That was a fun podcast. I think after that whole conversation about blue belts, purple belts, maybe. I think there could be a purple belt toolbox. You should have your tools by purple belt. If you don't, like, you shouldn't be a purple belt. That's going to cause some hate. You shouldn't. But definitely a blue belt, high white belt. No, actually, no. Fuck them. Like, I don't think there should be a blue belt toolbox. If you haven't got all the tools by the time you get your blue belt, like, because there's a difference. You should have tools for learning jiu-jitsu. Like, the tools for learning, that's what they are, not what you need to know. It's like technical wise, it should be the concepts that underpin everything. You shouldn't have that all by white belt. Maybe missing some details, like, you know, slightly off on like the exact points of it. No, fuck yeah. You should have all these rote, understood. Like, I should be able to like throw it at you and you should be able to list them off, each concept, because then you have your tools. There's no blue belt toolbox. But I'm going to make it anyway because I like making videos. Maybe the high white toolbox. I think we might be close to getting these like viewer numbers. Did we set like a viewer like limit for us getting wasted?
Yeah, we did. I can't remember what it was. We'll have to look back at the video from last week.
Well, it was set one. if we get to 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, or if we get to like 10,000 listens, we'll see. We'll go off the rails and we'll see, like do better episodes that way. Thank you everyone for listening on this podcast. I hope there has been some benefit from it. The reason for running this podcast, as much as me and Naqi just enjoy talking and thinking about jiu-jitsu, is for people to actually then listen to this and actually get some benefit that's going to like help them with their jiu-jitsu. We're getting them pondering in a different way. So I hope this one served you in the exact same way. I hope if you have any more questions, please come on the Discord channel. There's new people joining like literally every day.
We are like 4 today. Yeah, I was driving, I think, and I see it come up. I'm like, what? 4? I'm like, oh, this is growing, mate. I was going to text you, like, but I was driving. I was going to text you, Chris, what have we done today? Like, we got 4 new people.
I have no idea. I think the videos get picked up a little bit every now and then, but it's like, yeah, it's not a bad thing. Like,
yeah.
I love the fact we're getting this big conversation going. It's like this. I don't even have to add to it anymore. I just literally read through it and think, right, I'm going to talk about that in the next episodes. I find it easier than writing. For anyone who's on the Discord thinking, the fuck have I joined this? Because Chris doesn't say anything. Like, I do on here. I feedback like audibly. I'm always paying attention. Don't say that. I will definitely like answer if anyone says that on the Discord. I think I'm like it's like creating this pit of human beings and leaving you all in there. I'm not a monster completely. What are we down to now? Like 21 days on the countdown to enroll again.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like I keep doing the countdown, and like Pre keeps sending me hate.
I know Pre, yeah. I saw it the other day.
No, he keeps like messaging me as well. Like, why are you doing this? Like, you keep flooding my channel. Like, I know that's the plan. Not for you specifically, but yeah, I think we're down to 21 days or 20 days so we can actually roll again, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I had to look at the ruling. Maybe we can roll outside with masks on. I have no idea. It might be delayed till June or whatever it is.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
That was fun, dude. See you next week.
Yeah, see you next week, man.
And everyone out there, that's been Villaincast, Read the Week with El Jefe and the Villain. El Jeff. Dear Naq.
Do it, man.
Yeah, dude.